it's Julie Broad with Revenue.com, and I'm coming at you from the kitchen in the house where we are currently adding a legal suite. And this is the 6th or 7th video I've shot in this series, so if this is the first one you're watching, you got a whole bunch of good stuff to catch up on, because I've been taking a video every week to explain what's been going on, the process, and some of the lessons we're learning along the way. So this week, well, I haven't showed you any of the main part of the house yet, so I thought I would do that. But I also wanted to spend a few minutes talking about budget considerations and some of the quotes we got and why I went with who I went with, and the thing that had me saying a lot of words that rhyme with truck this week. Yeah, I encountered a significant challenge, surprise this week that had me saying truck. So I'll tell you about that. So first of all, I wanted to share a few thoughts around the quotes that we got on this property. So typically, we will try to get 3 quotes from referred tradespeople or people that we've worked with in the past. So we did that with the roof, and you know, the guy we use very consistently, he was the one that came in with the best price, so we went with him. When it came to the plumbers, however, we haven't, our latest plumber, the one we were using most recently, went out of business, and the one before that has vanished into thin air. So we were getting quotes from all new guys. And I actually went with the most expensive. He was $1,000 over the other quote. And I went with him because I trusted him. When we walked through the house, he took a lot of time to understand exactly what we needed. And he also consulted with the inspector at the city to make sure that what he was going to do to split up the hot water tanks was going to be okay with their code, and that it would pass inspection okay. The other guy kind of flew in, flew out, and sent me a very vague quote. So I was very concerned that I was going to end up paying a lot more in the end to work with him. So I went with the other guy, and man, was I impressed. He was in and out. He and his guys were in and out faster than they said they would be, and the job was a thing of beauty. And I don't say that about plumbing jobs very often, but it was neat, and my carpenter didn't even have anything to complain about. So I think that extra $1,000 was well worth it in that case. And bottom line is, I trusted him. I knew that he was going to do what he said he was going to do, and that he was going to do the job right. So that was that. The electrical, however, we didn't get any quotes because we've been using the same guy for a while. He does excellent work. He is not necessarily the cheapest guy, but I trust him 100%. But because I didn't get a quote, I didn't have a line-by-line itemized sheet from him. We went through the job in detail, but I didn't have a line-by-line what was going to happen. So I made an assumption, and this one bit me in the butt this week and caused me to say truck. Because what I assumed is that because this was a legal suite, and anytime we've done this in the past, we split up, we put 2 meters in place. And my assumption was that when you're doing a legal suite, you had to have 2 meters, 2 separate meters. However, I learned this week that that is not the case. You have to split up the electrical, but it can all run into the same meter. Yeah. We have never had the case where we haven't had to upgrade the electrical. This place had room. It had a 200 amp service. It didn't need upgrading. So there was some miscommunications throughout the whole process. And when I was referring to splitting it up, he thought I was talking about separating the 2 suites so they were on different channels, if you will. But I was always talking about splitting it up into 2 meters. And when I called and said, hey, listen, do we need to contact BC Hydro, or are you going to? He said, we don't need BC Hydro, you have enough room in the panel. So I didn't say, because are you going to order the meters, or are we? Yeah, so misunderstandings. The bad news that I got this week was that we have to now channel into the floor. Remember when I was talking about the laundry, we didn't want to have to dig up the cement. Well, we have to dig up the cement to bury the lines that are now going into place to move the panels down and put in the 2nd meter. So it is a couple $1,000s extra that I wasn't planning on, which sucks. The good news is he and his guys were faster, and everything else went better than he was expecting. So his overall quote budget that he was working with for me, he figures he's still going to come in around there. So I am going to have a little bit more expense because my carpenter is going to be cutting open the floor but it's not going to be as bad as I was initially envisioning when I got the news of the mistake. So, you know, if you've read Ian Szabo's book, From Renos to Riches, he talks about getting very clear quotes, and even he suggests writing down what you expect of your tradespeople, what you're asking them to do. I should have been heeding his advice a little bit closer. It would have saved us some pain this week. The other thing I wanted to talk about was budgeting, because that is always a challenge. There are always things that come up, things that you forget, things that surprise you, especially when you're pulling out walls. And so one of the things that we're debating about right now is this kitchen that you're seeing in here. So we're replacing the light fixtures. You can see it's kind of a shell of a thing. But I'd also planned on replacing appliances and hopefully countertops as well, and the poles on the kitchen to update it. So spending about $5,000 updating this kitchen. For rental purposes, I don't think I'm going to get much more rent. This suite up here is 2,200 square feet. You have a 2-car garage, 2 outside decks. It has a lot of features tenants are already going to be happy to pay for. So an upgraded kitchen would make it rent a little faster, but I don't think it's going to be a deal breaker not to have it updated. However, what we're doing right now is all the reno work and buying this property, we've done it with cash. Mostly our JV partner's cash. He has a line of credit that we're using, and we're paying interest on that. Plus, we've had to come up with a few funds of our own to finalize all the costs. When it's done and rented, we're then going to go to the bank and finance it. So we want to get it appraised for as high as value as possible. That is where having this kitchen updated will make an impact. So we're balancing a tight budget with our desire to have it appraised out at the most, but also the need to have it cash flow and have each dollar you put in here make sense from a rental perspective as well as a value perspective. So this is one of the challenges that we're debating and working with right now. Haven't made a final decision as to how much we're going to put into this kitchen up here, so I guess I'll just throw this at you. You can see it, and we'll see how the rest of this project goes. And if I have money left over, I'm definitely going to be putting it into this kitchen. So it's been quite a week, and I'm happy that even though I said some bad words this week, it's all working out fairly well in the end, and I can't wait to show you the finished product. We're getting closer. We'll see you next time.